Hey there! Welcome back to another review. More like a rant. 'Cause that's definitely what it is. It's definitely more of a rant than a review. This time of a film that I honestly was looking forward to for whatever reason. I guess it's because I kind of like the idea. I mean, a monster movie. There's a monster in the cellar. It's kind of a Native American horror film. Could be good. I mean, I like the Native American, bits in Poltergeist 2 and so on. And so I thought, hey, I like creature features. So give this a look. And I honestly wish I hadn't. Well, actually, no. I mean, I've seen worse. I mean, this isn't Demented bad. Like, this isn't as bad as Demented or August Underground or any of these other movies that I have on my worst list. It's not one of the worst, but it's definitely not one of the better films that I've seen. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it's the worst film ever, or one of the worst films ever made. But it's not one of the better films, that's for sure. For the most part, it's pretty lame. It's dull. It's about it's just a really just movie. I mean, really, that's a. I mean, it's not even that. It's just like. It's, the director himself, Kevin S. Tenney, who directed films like Night of the Demons and Witchboard, even he himself is like, this movie's a hole. He says it's a hole. That's one way to describe it. Yeah, it's an asshole. It's a dirty, stinky asshole. It's hairy, it's smelly, it's not pretty, it's not fun to look at, and it doesn't, it's just not a good experience. It's not a good thing to be around. Um, it's a 1989 film. It's directed by Kevin S. Tenney, who actually wasn't even the first director for it. The original director got fired for whatever reason, or he quit. So Kevin S. Tenney was hired like out of the blue, super quick. He had no preparation. It was just bam. The producers were like, "Hey, you open here. You got the movie. Can you be here by?" He gets a script on like Friday. He's there on the set on Saturday. He's directing the movie. So, and the script apparently that he got was R-rated, and there was like nudity in it for the lead girl. But the lead actress, she's like, I don't remember this. It's like, "Are you ready for the nude scene?" It's like, "What nude scene?" And look in the script. It's just like, "I don't remember any nude scene." So, it's like but the producers actually wanted a PG-13 film because originally it was going to be R, but then they changed it to PG-13. So even Kevin S. Tunney is like, I didn't even know what kind of movie they were trying to make. I thought, with the subject material, this really wouldn't work as a PG-13 rating. And the thing that really attracted me to the project was the family dynamic. But he's like, this film just didn't know what it wanted to be. So whenever people would ask me what type of movie I was making, I was like, I'm making the type of movie that Disney would make if they made horror films. And there's a good reason why Disney doesn't make horror movies. Yeah, it's PG-13. There's you have a creature feature, and I mean, films like Arachnophobia, for instance, are creature features that are PG-13, but there's still a certain grisliness to that film that's just not present here. The grisliest, grisly, the grisliest moments this film has are like a couple fingers chopped off by barbed wire, a little bit of blood in a watering hole, the creature itself, maybe some of the subject material, like this creature that oozes this slime that dissolves babies so it can consume their souls or something. Um, Other than that, it's very tame. And that's a big reason why it's so lame. It's such a lame movie. It's a perfect way to describe it. It's a lame fuck. It's a lame fuck. It really is. Uh, so it's written by Kevin S. Tenney. It's been written by John Woodward and Daryl Wimberly. Based on a short story by David Henry Keller, M.D. Don't quit your day job, Doc. Don't do it, please. It stars Patrick Kilpatrick as Mance Cashin. Yeah, Mance. What kind of fucking name is that? Like, I mean, that's one dumbass fucking name right there. I've never heard of somebody named Mance before. Have you? Probably, probably not. And for good reason, because it's a stupid sounding name. It's such a bad name. It's very fitting though for such a bad film. Now, when I was watching this movie, I was like, that guy looks familiar. I'm like, I've seen that guy before. And then it didn't really come to me when I was watching the film. But then when I looked up what the other films he had been in were, I was like, oh yeah, it's the Sandman, the Sandman from Death Warrant. It's the Sandman from Van Damme's movie Death Warrant. I was like, holy shit, it's the Sandman. So, I mean, Patrick Kilpatrick at times I kind of had fun with in this, but only unintentional fun because his performance is so bad it was reminding me of Red Brown. Now, he's a poor man's Red Brown in this because, you know, no one can really equate the awesomeness of Red Brown. No one can really equal Reb because there's only one Red Brown. And to be honest, if Reb was in this, man, this movie would probably be, it'd probably be pretty epic. I gotta be honest. If Reb was in this, if he was running around yelling at the monster and punching it in the face, I mean that would have been awesome. I would have given this movie like 5 stars, 10 out of 10. For Red Brown yelling and punching the monster in the face. I mean, not I wouldn't really give it that high of a rating, but I'd probably like it a lot more, that's for sure. So, yeah, that's what I remember the most for this actor is from, of course, his role in Death Warrant. And he's right in that movie. And it's funny, he did that film like right after this. So, I don't know, did they see the movie? And one of the most famous lines that Sandman has in Death Warrant is "Welcome to hell." Sums up this movie. You could just have before the movie starts, you could have the Sandman go, "Welcome to hell," because it is a pretty hellish movie. It's a pretty hellaciously awful film. So you have Mance Cashin, who's played by the Sandman, Patrick Kilpatrick. Then you have Chris Miller, who plays Willie Cashin, who is his son. This kid is just annoying. He's not really that great of an actor. And apparently this guy worked on Shrek. Like, this is a guy who... He was the voice of the Magic Mirror and Geppetto. He was the voice of the Magic Mirror in Shrek 2. So we go on to voice a bunch of the, voices in Madagascar and Shrek. Maybe he's a better voice actor than he is an actual actor. But he's pretty bad here. This kid is, it's like they're trying to make him kind of likable. Like he's kind of a Kevin McAllister type who is very adept at creating traps and stuff, but they don't really do that much with it. I mean, he creates a flamethrower and he does nothing with it. It's such a disappointment. It's such a letdown. He creates a flamethrower. This kid is such a genius. He creates a flamethrower, and like nothing really comes of it at all. The monster he traps it in a bear trap, and like it loses a foot, but I guess it doesn't mean anything because apparently it grows it back later, and like it's no big deal. So that didn't do anything. So it's like he sets up these traps, but they don't seem to really do anything. So what a wasted opportunity. And this kid, he's supposed to be the smart kid. He's supposed to be likable. He's technically the lead, but he's a fucking little pissant. He's a brat. He's a bratty kid. So I don't give a shit what happens to him. I'm waiting for the monster from the cellar to eat his ass. Then we have Suzanne Savoy, who plays Emily Cash, and she's the one that was supposed to have a nude scene, but of course it didn't happen because PG-13, and she didn't know anything about the nude scene anyway. She was fine. She was serviceable. I mean, she wasn't anything spectacular, but she was there. She's been in a lot more stuff lately. I mean, she's been in House of Cards. So she's had a decent role in that. House of Cards is a Netflix show, I think, or is it an Amazon Prime show? I don't know exactly. It's one of those streaming network shows. So she's gone on to do more respectable work. Um, but she's fine in this. I mean, I thought she was okay. So, she's probably the best actor of the entire movie, to be honest. And then you have this other guy, Ford Rainey, plays T.C. Van Houten, who's like this old guy who used to own the property that Patrick Kilpatrick ends up buying. So he and his wife and their baby can live there. And this is somewhere in Arizona. Well, the reason why he doesn't want to sell it is because on the land there's the monster in the cellar or whatever. The evil is kept there by, ancient Native American mumbo jumbo and shit. Ancient Native American shit. No, I mean ancient Native American, spells and other, stuff. Like there's a spear in the ground and that prevents the monster from getting out or whatever. I don't fucking know. I guess that's a bunch of fucking mumbo jumbo. Lou Perryman plays Kyle Boatwright, who's just this asshole boss of Mance's. And Michael Wren plays Chief Sam John. He's supposed to be this, like, he's the protector of the land, and he's supposed to be this, he's like the ancient, he's not really ancient, but, he's the medicine man. He's like Taylor from Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, but nowhere near as cool and nowhere near as badass and nowhere near as useful because he's supposed to be this protector and he dies in like 5 seconds. Like they build him up as being this protector, this really strong character who can fight off the monster who's been holding back the evil for so long, and he dies just like that, just like that, dead. I can't snap. I can't do it. So that's why I clapped instead. Uh, so that's pretty much it for the cast. I mean, there's a few other people, and they're really not much of anything. The movie is about 85 minutes long, but it's super slow. It moves at a crawl. It's about as it's such an arid, dry movie. Just like the desert that this movie takes place in. It's such an arid, dry, dusty, old, dank film. And it's probably, you watching this is probably a very similar experience to being locked in a dank, musty old cellar. But then again, a musty old cellar, might have some things it'd probably be just as bad. I'm talking about a dusty, dank, musty old cellar that just has like old cans of fruit in there. There's nothing else for you to do except stare at old cans of fruit and all the spiders that are crawling everywhere on the cobwebs. I mean, actually, that's actually scarier than anything this movie has in it. Being locked in the cellar with all these spiders and shit. Ah, man. Uh, so the movie starts out with this really pretentious ass fucking narration that's it's got this like nature footage or it's footage of like the sky and it's like time lapse or something. Like it's a really fancy ass fucking opening for a movie like this. And this narrator and some over the top voice talks about how the Indians, I think the Comanche Indians, they trapped the evil of their land and in a monster, and they made this monster who's a mixture of these other animals because they made it so they could kill the white man. But Then things went wrong. The monster, was it was like, I've had it, I like the white meat, but I got a taste for red meat now. I want the whole platter. I want everything. I want white and red meat. And so the monster, was just straight up evil and started eating the Indians as well. So, and not just the white man. So they placed a protective spear in the ground to contain the evil. And many years later, young TC, the old guy, the old coot, when he was a kid, he starts playing with the spear like a dumbass, and a Comanche catches the boy, and the kid gets freaked out and runs away with a rabbit's foot, and then the Native American places the spear back, but then he realizes too late that the rabbit's foot is gone because the kid took it, and then white men come and start drilling oil, and then on the property, and then something happens. TC's family, gets killed or whatever. And the movie doesn't open up with this flashback. This flashback happens like in the almost like kind of in the middle of the movie. And this flashback is so poorly done that the scene is shot and there's people talking, like they're saying dialogue, and the narration is looped over the dialogue. It's the dialogue isn't muted or anything. It's not edited in a way where the narration tells a story. No, there's clearly people going, and then this narrator going, and then, like, am I supposed to understand what these other guys are saying? Because I can't understand any of it because the narration is just looped over that's how cheap this movie is. I wonder who's responsible. And the thing is, I think part of this movie was shot already by a different director. Like I was saying, Kevin S. Tenney had to take over production, but Kevin S. Tenney wasn't allowed to shoot different scenes. He had to work with these other scenes that were already shot, and so it just made it for a very awkward thing where you have this just a very awkward setup. Whereas it's all like scenes that don't really fit with the rest of the movie, and it makes sense. Kevin S. Tenney is like this. There's a reason why this film feels so disjointed and janky. It's because it is. It's like two different movies that were just smashed together. It's like you had a puzzle and you had a bunch of pieces, and not all of the pieces fit, but you had some pieces missing, but you didn't have the right ones to fit these certain pieces, the certain missing, space. So you just jam them in there and say, there, the puzzle's finished. And that never works out, and it doesn't work out in film either. So you skip to the current time. You have Mance Cashin, played by Patrick Kilpatrick. He moves to the area with his new wife and baby. His son from his first marriage, Willie, who's a fucking dick. So much that the name is, it really does suit him. He's visiting. Willie noticed something peculiar in the house and tries to warn his father and stepmother. They do not believe him. They think he's crazy. Uh, when they go down when they open the cellar, there's the only time I really got any enjoyment out of this movie is when it was unintentionally hilarious, or when lines of dialogue just kind of just made me chuckle because they summed up how bad the movie is. So, for example, when they open the cellar and the first thing that comes out of the wife's mouth is, "Oh, oh, that's awful." That's the Cellar for you. Ooh, ooh, that's awful. And then Mance Cashin, Patrick Kilpatrick goes down into the cellar, and then he says this really just crappy, cringy, corny ass fucking pun where he's all like, "It's like Dracula's bedroom down here." Golf clap. Nice try. Nice try, Mance. So Yeah, it's like Dracula's bedroom down here. God. So then the kid goes in and he plays around in a tire swing near a small water hole, and then this rubber monster hand grabs him. Looks like something that you would buy at Party City on clearance. Ooh, spooky rubber monster hand. Ah, run. Be afraid of the rubber monster hand. I've seen scarier episodes of Goosebumps. And that's not even PG-13. So the kid, he escapes from the rubber monster hands of doom, and then he makes friends with T.C. Van Houten, played by Ford Rainey. He shares then we had the flashback that's really poorly done about what happened to his parents. The evil apparently killed them. Then the kid meets up with Chief Sam John. The kid is a dickhead. He's a total dick to this guy. So he tried to warn Mance about the evil to keep it contained, but Mance is like, I don't believe any of this bullshit. And excuse me, I burped because this movie gives me indigestion. And then, Sam John gives the whole spiel. The evil was intended to stop the white man, but is indiscriminate in whom it kills instead. And Mance is like, this is bullshit. I have none of this. And then you have scenes where Mance's work, he's at his job and he's like some kind of construction site where he's doing demolition. His boss is being an asshole. It's so like a dumbass. He decides to detonate some dynamite right in front of his boss and he gets fired. And then he's acting like a dick later. He's all being an ass. And then there's a scene with him and his wife, they're in bed, and she's asking him like, when are we gonna get to the good stuff, Mance? What happened to the good stuff? And I'm like, when are we gonna get to the good stuff, movie? When are we gonna get to it? Because I haven't seen any of it yet. This is a monster movie, and you saw like 5 seconds of the monster in the opening credits. And oh, and I forgot to mention, that's one thing I did really like about this movie: the sweet opening credits with this really sweet, awesome guitar riff. Doesn't fit the movie, this theme, but it's catchy, and I actually like it a lot. So, for the most part, this movie is, you know, stinky cellar air, but I mean, that music is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, when are we gonna get to the good stuff? And and then there's all these like crows and stuff or ravens that keep showing up on the property. And this is where Patrick Kilpatrick gives his best Red Brown impression. He grabs a gun and he just shoots at the bird. He just grabs the gun and he's like, ah! That shoots the bird. That was totally something at Red Brown. I could totally see Red Brown doing that. But Red Brown wouldn't just shoot the bird. He'd yell at it, and his yell would be so powerful that it would like makes the bird's head explode. Because that's Red Brown for you. That's the power of red. Then, so all this is like 50 minutes into the movie. Nothing has happened. Then we finally get like the first kill or something. The Sam John, which is such a I mean, Mance is a dumb name. What's up with these dumb names? Like, who came up with these names? Did they just throw? They just were they blindfolded and threw like a dartboard with like different names, different words on there, and they just went with whatever, the dart hit or something. They just throw Scrabble tiles at the wall. Like, I don't understand that. Mance, Sam John, what the hell, Sam John? What kind of Indian name is that? What's his brother's name? Chief Jimmy John? Give me a break. Like, that's such a. That doesn't even remotely sound like an Indian name. Sam John. Oh man. So Sam John gets killed in a really lame way. The monster or whatever drags him off screen into into a barn somewhere, or the oil rig, the place where the oil was drilled or something, and a couple of his fingers get cut off by barbed wire, and they're just laying there on the ground. That's as close as you get to any sort of gore in this movie. Just some fingers on the ground. Speaking of fingers, it feels like this movie just stuck its finger up my ass. It's just popping my asshole, and it's not very pleasurable because this movie has like really long, sharp fucking fingernails and like scraping the inside of my ass and making it just bleed out, bleed everywhere. Not a pretty sight, I know, but that's that sums up what it is like to watch this movie. Somebody with long ass fingernails, finger pop in your asshole. Then the guy is supposed to be this master of Indian mystic magic, and dies in 5 seconds, leaves his fingers behind, and then the son of the asshole boss, he ends up getting killed by the rubber monster hands from Party City, and there's a little bit of blood in the water, and the cellar monster is able to like traverse because there's like a tunnel in the cellar that leads to the watering hole. It's very convenient. The tunnel leads right into the watering hole. I don't know how this works. I don't know why the water isn't like flooding the entire cellar, but apparently somehow, some way this works. I don't know how. Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's ancient mystic magic. Maybe the monster itself is able to make it's able to change the laws of physics or something. Or maybe I just don't know my geology. I don't know. I don't really see how there's a tunnel in a cellar that leads directly to a watering hole. And I'm probably thinking, I'm overthinking things too much, aren't I? I really am. I'm overthinking things way too much for such a piece of shit movie. But anyway, the of course the father doesn't believe his son when he tells him that the monster in the cellar ate the kid. So he thinks that he had something to do with it because he believes that the kid ran away or some shit, and he thinks that his son is lying to him. So he's mad at his son, and he's pissed off, and he's in a pissy mood because he lost his job because he's a dumbass. Which I'm sorry, I'm not sympathetic for you, Mance, because you were being a dumbass. You were being a fucking dunce. I'm not really. What were you thinking? That wasn't the song and dance that you should have went with. So it's just unbelievable. This is so upset. And then he goes crazy near the end. He nails the cellar door open because he doesn't believe in his son that there's a monster down there. So, and even his wife is like, "You're going too far, Mance. You're really losing it. You're going crazy here." And he throws her around like a rag doll. You're like, man, like this isn't getting really uncomfortable. This is like domestic violence shit right here. What is going on? Why? What are you doing, Mance? Why are you being such an asshole? I mean, before you were just being, you know, being pissy for, a stupid reason, but now you're just being a total raging dickhead. You're being a fucking asshole, man. And what happens? The monster actually comes out of the cellar and starts attacking the kid, and then Nance finally sees the monster, and the creature effects are not much. It looks like roadkill. It looks like it does. It looks like roadkill. It's a very forgettable, bland creature design. It's not even the greatest effect either. It's not really interesting of a creature. It's shot in almost pitch black darkness for the most part too, so you really don't see that much of it to begin with. You see bits and pieces of it before the climax when the kid tries to trap it, but it's just a little brief bit of it. And then you see it here, and it clearly looks like a guy in a suit or something, like a little person in a suit. And then this is another moment that made me laugh because the kid's like, I told you there was real." I told you there was a monster in the cellar. And then Mance is like, damn right, damn right it is. I told you it was real, damn right it is. Like, yeah, it is. You should have believed your son. I don't know. So Mance goes down the cellar, chases the monster down there, tries to attack it. He runs away from the monster. It goes through the tunnel into the watering hole. He sets up some dynamite to blow up the monster, and the monster gets blown up. The house gets blown up. It's a pretty explosive ending. Decent. There's some the last sequence of the monster chasing after Mance and the explosion and everything. I mean, it was kind of all right, and it's somewhat suspenseful. The movie ends with a bang. The blow up the monster, the Creek Cellar monster gets blown up, and Mance and his family live happily ever after. Even though I don't know if I was Will, I would not want to go back to visit my dad because I think he's not very smart. He lost his job because he's being a fucking idiot, and then he almost killed me. Almost had a cellar monster eat me alive because he didn't believe me. He thought I was lying. So he instead of, I don't know, taking me in the room with him and talking to me, he lost it and nailed the cellar door open. So the monster had the easiest route to be able to eat my ass. The father of the year, right here. So anyway, the movie, when you think it's over, you're thinking it's over, right? The monster's blown up, the monster's dead, the movie's over, right? No. Then we have more time-lapse shots of, the sky and a sunset and more fucking narration. I'm like, and it just goes on forever. And and this is just really pretentious now. They're just like, what? I don't even know what the narrator is talking about anymore, and I don't care because I'm just like, just end already. I mean, the movie's over. The monster is dead. I don't. What is this shit? And finally, the narration ends, and then we get more of the sweet opening credits score, which I have to admit is a really nice tune. So that's The Cellar. I don't know what else to say about the movie except it was a rate out of 5 stars. Like I said, I've seen worse, but I've definitely seen a lot better. I'd give it 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 for some of the unintentional hilarious moments. Oh, and real quick, in case you might have wondered what happened to the old guy. Oh, he died in a car crash because some birds flew on into his car and then it flew off a cliff. It's just typical kind of boring stuff you see in these type of movies for very low budget. Oh, we don't have a budget. How are we gonna kill this guy? Oh, he dies in some car crash with stock footage. Stock footage killed him. Death by stock footage. Uh, so anyway, yeah, 1 star for some moments of unintentional hilarity, the little bit of suspense near the end, and the really nice opening credits. Other than that, yeah, it's not a very good movie. But anyway, thank you for watching my review of The Cellar, and I will see you guys later. See ya.